Welcome again to Postcard to Leigh G. Banks. He's still in the UK. He's still alive, just suffering from a healthy dose of poisoning, red wine or Marston's. It's one of the two, probably a mixture of the two. But he's recovered to at least do the show. He tells me he's got a lot of friends out there. I don't believe him. But friends are great. It's nice to see friends. But they do tire you out, especially when you get to 70, Leigh. Is that true?
I'll let you know in a few years' time. Yeah, it's what it is. It's dead simple. It's dead simple. I used to find this when I was on, say, a sort of celebrity junket. And if you were going to interview somebody, it might just be their one interview of the day. But it could be your 10th interview of the day. And meeting friends and families just the same. Yeah, it's their one outing of the day. But you've been doing it for a fortnight, every single day. And you'd probably seen lots of people that day. So it becomes like a business instead of a pleasure. I'm sorry, family, I don't mean I don't like you. Actually. But anyway, it just becomes a bit of a chore. That means none of my family will see me again. You notice we're both in stripes, dear?
Well, yeah, absolutely. And I'm thinking of the royal family at the same time as what you've just said, because think of what they've got to do 3 or 4 times a day, 365 days a year, be charming and meet people. They must be absolutely shot. Well, some of them. Others need to be shot.
Some of them should be shot. Yeah, I think that's what you just said. Yeah, and when you think, but what a grand, brilliant job they do as the world's biggest dysfunctional family.
No, yes, there's always that. I mean, you only got to think of EastEnders, and that's taken off out of dysfunctionality, hasn't it?
Not many of them live in a council house like the Queen does, though.
Yeah, we won't go. Listen, your dissertations concerning Grand Britannia have not really finished because you had a half-hour trip to Birmingham the other day and it took you 3 hours. Why?
Well, just because Britain's stupid. I can't really put it any other way. What it is, look, I've said this for years. I've written it for a long time, and I can only express it in this way. We are living in a dystopian world. We don't realise it generally. The people who say it tend to think that we're conspiracy theorists. This isn't a conspiracy theory. Everything has gone wrong in this world, and it is mainly because the world is run by robots. This is a robotic world. This is an internet world. And the one thing that doesn't work very well in this world is the internet. Yeah, we put all our businesses, our private lives, everything on it. And it crashes, it messes up, it hides things, it bans you. It does anything that a robot can think of doing without any thought process, really. And so that's it. So here we are leading into the subject. We had to go and meet family in Birmingham yesterday. Now, where we are in the glorious climes of a place called, I have no idea what it's called, but it's near Penkridge. It's near Stafford. It's in the middle of Staffordshire. And Stafford, no lovely place, Staffordshire, apart from the people. And so we decided that we would go by train because they've just introduced in Birmingham, which is still in the middle, as like Staffordshire is. But the people talk a bit funny up there. And so we decided we would go by train. Yeah, that great old English institution, train. So what we did, we thought, well, what we'll do, we'll book the tickets online so that we don't have any problem at all. We'll just go to the station, Penkridge Station, and go and get on a train and go to Birmingham. Save £8 when we get there because we won't have to pay congestion charges. Save 25 quid because we didn't want to, because we wouldn't have to park our car for more than 20 minutes. Save on diesel, which is now, the diesel for my car is about £8 a gallon. So we said on the way, we should be saving. So we started this incredible journey by train across the internet to book a ticket. And without going into all the details, British Rail, West Midlands Railways, I think it's called, in the glorious climes of Staffordshire and the Midlands. They've got a website, and you try and book it. An hour it took to book a ticket, because every time you try, oh, we don't accept a Monzo. Oh, what's Monzo? I think, what do you mean, what's Monzo? Oh, no, we don't accept that credit card. What do you mean you don't accept that credit? Oh, no, we don't accept cash. I'm thinking, well, what do you accept, you stupid robot? And so ultimately managed to pay. Then we got to the station and saw that it wasn't, as it was described on the internet, a free parking situation, because it was Sunday. There were signs everywhere saying, if you do not have a parking ticket on display, you will be clamped and charged 200 quid. So we're walking around, and then we found a machine which said at the bottom, parking tickets available. So we started doing that. Didn't work, wouldn't accept money, wouldn't accept credit cards, wouldn't accept anything, wouldn't accept us, wouldn't accept that it was a parking ticket machine. So we pressed a button on it, and the little lady says, hello, how can I help you? And I said, can you tell us how we make this machine work so we can get a parking ticket so we don't get clamped? This was her response. I'm sorry, I'm only on the Sunday shift, I don't know. Gone, like that. So we phoned back and said, well, look, can you tell us if it's free to park here? Because it says on your website it's free to park here on a Sunday. But we don't want to risk it because there's signs all over the place saying you'll clamp us and it'll cost us 200 quid. She says, I'm sorry, I can't tell you. I'm only here for temporary. Bye. Gone. So we got on the train, and the train was like a COVID jungle. Yeah, I don't know if you can pass COVID on through a bum, right? But when you're sitting on a train that you've just paid 12 quid to go 30 miles on, excuse me, I just had to do a cough because I've been on the COVID train. If there's a bum there in your face, how do you know you're not going to get COVID off that bum? You're not going to kiss it, but it's there in front of your face, and it's there for 30 miles, like that. And everybody's around. And there's signs going across the train like that, going, it is your duty to wear a mask to protect your fellow passengers. It is your duty to wear a mask to protect... That's a robot! That's a robot! It's your duty to wear a mask to protect your fellow passengers. Then it says, if one of our officers finds you not wearing a mask on the train, then you will be fined £200. Everybody wants to fine you 200 quid. So I'm looking around, I think, well, there's about 100 people in this one carriage, plus that bug there, like that, and not one of them's got a ticket. So 200 times 200, what's that? I don't know. It's a lot of money. That train could have taken a fortune. I thought, I paid 12 quid to pay this 200 quid. So anyway, that's it. So we got to the station, on guard, standing there like that, looking at you with an ass on, guns, coshes, anything they can think of, joints, everything, just standing there at the station going, watching you like that. So we couldn't get out because our ticket, our £12 ticket we paid a fortune for, wouldn't go in the hole. It kept bubbling up like that, and then it come out the other end, and you'd have to try again. So this guy came up to me with his gun and his joint and everything, and his police baseball cap on like that, and said, what are you standing here for? I said, I can't get through that machine because it won't let me go. And he says, well, you'll have to stand back then and wait till somebody comes to me. I said, well, can you help me? He said, I have no idea what to do. I said, you could shoot it, like that. And so that was the way the day went. Anyway, we had to come back then. So I journeyed there and back, which would have taken us just over an hour, took us in total 5 hours round trip. But we had a wonderful time with our family. We went to this incredible Indian place where you could have an Indian curry. We had 7 different curries with 3 different rices and everything. And it only cost 24 quid for two.
Well, if our viewer is still there after that rant, can I point out that last week, if you may notice, that he said, well, doing one of his famous accents, and you had two or three there of local accents. He said, I can't do French. You can. Those two or three local accents sounded like French to me, Leigh. Now, yeah, I'm on his side about this because we have the same problem in Spain and Portugal. If you go in a car park and you can't get, there's nobody there anymore, and the machine never works, and you get somebody on the other end of the line that either has got no patience or is that bored, he or she does not want to be woken up. It is true when it's run by machine. We want, I tell you what we want, Leigh. We want some kindness and understanding back, don't we?
Absolutely, absolutely.
There you go. You've got it from two official ranters. We must be right. We agree on that. Well, I'll tell you what we're going to agree on as well, probably. And that's the third COVID jab. Now, the BBC, we have a regular go at. And again, a little go this time because we have a world champion lady tennis player. British, flies the British flag everywhere she goes. Parents, she comes from, of course, the eastern side of Europe. That's why she's good, some people say. Not been through the school of life that will look after you and train you. Oh, don't get too tired, dear. She's come up the rough way and she's won. Well done her. But I tell you what, it's impressed me no end that she's got the Union Jack round her torso. Now, if she'd have come through the British system, she'd have been said, you can't be that, you're too nationalistic. Stop wearing the flag. She don't care. She's proud of the Queen. She's got a little note from the Queen, going to stick it on a wall. She's proud of the flag. Well done her. She's not the woke, impressed, normal Brit coming to sport with a bit of an attitude. We'll come on to this a bit later, actually. But is that a fair comment, or is that a bit too cruel?
I don't think it's cruel at all. No, we need a sense of nationalism, and if that's brought from international climes, what a brilliant thing. That's what inclusiveness should be about. Not eating the same sweets and swapping it. That's not inclusiveness as a political gesture. This is something that's good for our society. I'm bored rigid by any form of sport other than, say, hamburger eating or beer drinking competitions. The rest of the sport can go and hang itself. But for this young lady to actually express herself in such a way, she's 15, I think, isn't she?
18.
And, 18. And yeah, well, that's fine. Then, yeah, she's a good egg. She's a good egg, and she's doing something proper for Britain. And Britain should take pride in the fact that she is proud to represent us people.
Well, there you go. Yes, the Royal Us. We're going to go on from the Royal Us, and may she carry on being the top dog for a long time. And black boxes, Leigh, are the fashion in aeroplanes. Of course, they tell you why it's crashed. They're coming to a car near you, probably your car, possibly. And if EU has its way, it's going to control you completely, because it's going to be tied up to the latest speed restrictions. It will not allow you to go ahead of any speed. Now, my goodness me, if you're glad to be a Brexiteer, you'll be even gladder at this. But I hope we don't go down the track, as some manufacturers have intimated in Britain. Oh, well, if they bring in that law, we'll have to carry on because we won't be able to sell our cars in Europe. Yes, you will. You can put black boxes in the cars you sell there. Stop making excuses. Can you think of the drawbacks of this? Well, I can think of many. They will control your speed. In emergency, apparently, you can put your foot down if you've got to overtake to get you out of danger. It's a mockery. It's also a mockery if the speed in the dry is 50 miles an hour, 40 miles an hour is more than enough in the wet. But you'll get confidence in this black box and you'll be doing 50 mile an hour, and sometimes that's not safe. Overtaking, I've described it as being easy. It's not that easy, but it's all part of the machinery that you and I hate taking over society, because machines are better than we are.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've just had a bit of a rant. I didn't think it was a rant, really. I thought it was just a bit of a ramble. And it's about the fact that everything is computerized, everything, and don't get it mixed up. You know, calling it a robot isn't a joke, isn't a misnomer, it's a fact. Anything that we use, I am talking to you now through a robot. The problem is that robots should not be controlling your lives, they should be enhancing your lives. And for the first car robots with control over you really came in, 20 years ago, when insurance companies started introducing them to monitor your driving. But it was a freedom thing, because you could pay less if you had one of these machines on. There was a financial benefit to you if you put one of these on board. And in that way, it controlled your driving, but it did it by you allowing yourself to control your driving. This way it doesn't. Well, you know, we travelled across Europe recently, as I might have mentioned in the past. And when we got to Britain, we got onto the smart motorways. Now listen, smart motorways are basically a minic motorway. If you remember minic motorways, where you sat your car in a little groove in the road, and it span round a figure of 8 track, and that was really, you had no control over it. It crashed when it wanted to. And smart motorways are really just an extension of that. They control you completely by chicanes in the road, by chicanery of speed limits, by chicanery of police, by any kind of chicane or chicanery you can put on a road. And that is controlled by a robot. For instance, you have the M6 toll road. Now, I say this is a lie. I've never been able to prove it because the Ministry of Transport won't admit to it. But ever since the toll road was put in on the M6, at the junction before the M6, there has been a sign every day, every night, every month, every Sunday, Saturday, every other day, every year, just saying, congestion on M6. Use M6 toll. There can't have been congestion on the M6 every single day for 20 years. It's a lie, and it is the control of the chicanery of robots, and the black boxes in your car make it impossible for you to actually drive. It is more dangerous. I think you're right. It is more dangerous because you're more likely to crash if you're driving like this. Because there's nothing for you to do, because the black box is doing it for you.
Well, no, you're right. And referring back to where we started this conversation off about control and about indeed the BBC and various other denominations in our society, the BBC can get things right and do on a number of occasions. There's a new programme last 6 months or so, early morning, instead of listening to, and we in Spain, of course, are an hour out of sync with Britain, so we have to get up earlier or stay later. Can't remember which way around it is now, but one of the two. So we have to listen to the radio and get it an hour later. Depends where we are. It's complicated by Portugal. We won't go down there, because that's Portugal's easy. It's British time, so that's good. They're very sensibly for Portugal. But instead of the 5 live, radio program that's all about your favourite topic, Leigh, which is sport. They do now put on a scientific program, which is brilliant. Now, I mentioned this because they were mentioning it shortly after on the news when 8 o'clock in Spain arrived, and they were eulogizing over our tennis star. But all the way through, she's a girl, she's a lady, she's a woman. You would not get that if it was a man, but that's the BBC. They're selling girls, so is Sky. Let's just blame the Beeb. It's as though they've got an inferiority complex, these ladies. No, they haven't. You've made it, ladies. You're there. In fact, you're not. You're ahead of us, mere males. You shouldn't have an inferiority complex, but the BBC still thinks you are. So if it's a girl that's succeeded, it's not about the success. It's about the fact that she's feminine. Stop it, BBC. But carry on your program that is scientific, and top scientific people are on that, and they're brilliant. And when they tackle a subject like COVID, it's not listening and getting your reports from Facebook or wherever you rely on, and YouTube. And most of them, I'm sorry, are absolute rubbish, and in certain circumstances, dangerous. So the true scientists get on, and there's some revealing things here. In one sense, the COVID is over. No, it's not. You can't throw everything away. But we appear to be on the right side of it now. But be careful. Certain things are factual that we've been hearing about through our news desk for quite a few months, but they have confirmed them. And that's it. If you're going to go to a nightclub, and if you're going to go to a football match, as my two lads went to watch Man U this weekend, and they had a glorious time with the glorious Ronaldo, Ronnie Ronaldo. You can't make that one up, but that's what he's known as. It's been revealed now by these scientists that 1 in 10 people who are going to go into a crowd, usually a festival, a music festival, or of course, Old Trafford in this case, or any football ground, shouting and screaming, 1 in 10 are going to finish up with COVID. Now, should we be wearing masks or should we not? Does it make any difference? Don't know. But the basic facts are you're going to get COVID. Now, is it worth going to a blooming football match? Stop at home and watch it on your telly. That's one thing you can do.
I, for one, obviously wouldn't stay at home and watch it on telly or go and visit it. But the COVID situation, it's very strange. We've just had, and I hope this is factually correct, because I'm going to share it now, and it's a tragedy if it's true, that Poprad, the city we lived in Slovakia for 4 years, and I've only just left to come back to Britain, has gone back to red. He's on red alert COVID. Now that's within Slovakia, but their description of danger signs in the COVID world are quite strict. And before we left, I think we explained we were out in the bars every night. That's one of our pastimes, to go for food, go and sit in a bar, have a walk around the streets. And the town was teeming with people everywhere, sitting outside, sitting inside bars, and nobody wore masks. Nobody really socially distanced. Everybody was shaking hands again, having a quick cuddle, because that's what Slovaks do, which is very pleasant. And that's the way it went. Now, if this is true, and it's come from a good source, I've just not managed to check it out properly yet. Poprad is back in the red. Now, in Britain, the one thing we've talked about ever since we've got here, with the people we've seen, bumped into or met up with, is the fact that everywhere is empty. It is like a dystopian movie. The streets are empty, the restaurants are empty, the bars are more or less empty, apart from trains. That's what trains are like. But that's trains. Nothing.
Well, I presumably in all this, it's because people are frightened.
Yes, that's that. Well, there's that, and there's also the cost. The truth of the matter is the cost. People don't have the money that they had before. People did put money away in the first threshes of COVID, but now it's getting so expensive. £4.50 for a pint of beer is outrageous. Some places it's £6 a pint. Food, you can't now for two people have a meal out for less than 70 or 80 quid. And I'm talking about, here's a good example. Fish and chips in Britain. Fish and chips in Britain, right? Do you know how much fish and chips cost in Britain now? Two lots of fish and chips, £19. Now, people can't really afford to pay that on a regular, so they stay in. People have got used to drinking at home and watching stupid sport on telly. And that's what they do now.
Well, I can agree, concur, but not that every chip is ripping you off. The facts are that the actual commodity's gone up sky high. But what is the greatest contributor to that, of course, is the wages. You can't get anybody to work for you in a chippy. No. They don't want to do it. And it's so easy to stay at home. So somebody's got to pay for it. And, Rishi, you've not got everything right. And I'll tell you something else, because we're going to concentrate a little bit on the COVID and some interesting facts that are coming out. Everybody's been going on. Well, originally, of course, it was the hydroxychloroquine, whatever it was, that was our saviour. And the big pharma was ripping us off. Now, not turned out that way. And our venerable scientists said, no, you can easily skew figures. The latest kid on the block, of course, is ivermectin. And they point to India. Now, India is a bit of a conundrum. I mean, everybody's living close together, talking about that in your face on a train. You've only got to look at the Indian trains. They're in, on the roof, out, whatever. And yet they are surviving quite well now. Yeah. And a lot of people are saying it's because of the ivermectin. I don't know what it is. They don't know what it is. It's interesting. But the scientists reckon, again, that's another misleading drug. They say they actually identified a drug, but it will take several months to confirm. But it looks as though they've got one drug that actually will decrease or increase your survival rate, rather, I should put it this way around, by 30%.
Yeah, just hedge your bets, like.
Hedge your bets, yes. And 30% is worth having. So there is a very cheap drug which will help, but it will not move away from the fact that vaccine is absolutely imperative. And they're still debating the third vaccine, whether the booster is needed. The consensus at the moment, which will probably happen in Britain, first off, is that the vulnerable and the old will get a third vaccine. They need it, but a lot of people don't need it. Certainly the young don't need it. Well, that's the thinking, and they've got a pretty good record, this particular group of scientists. So bear that in mind. Yes, we are coming out of it, but it's going to be with us maybe forever, Leigh. So we've got to be careful. And one of the basic things, of course, is for everybody, build up your resistance. So, the zinc and vitamin C and vitamin D's will do you no harm, but don't take too much of them, because that can damage kidneys, livers, and all sorts of things. You need proper medical instructions about these things.
True, it is true. I'm still fairly shocked by, when you look at Facebook. Facebook is a middle-aged playground now. It's not there for young people. It's there for people in from the 40s onwards, really. And it's a middle-aged, grumpy, old woman and man place where the old people, where they used to sit in the snugs of a bar and talk rubbish. Now they can go on Facebook and talk rubbish. and they can make things up, they can extend things, they can just mess with people's heads. And there's no veracity there, there's no truth there. I've fallen out with a couple of people on there because of the outrageous way they talk about COVID. There is no doubt that COVID exists. There are doubts about what's gone on during it. There's always been ways of making money out of crises. That's why we have crises, really. You know, it's why we have wars, because it's a playground for making money. And, you know, it just is. But you said yourself, we've been misled. We've been misled on this, we've been misled on that. And that wasn't an impersonation of you. That was an impersonation of somebody of your age. And it was...
not often I get embarrassed, but go on.
And it's just that, you know, were we misled? Because by saying misled, it means it's deliberate. I believe that this shock came upon the world unannounced, unexpected. Now, I don't think that's an excuse. I think we should have expected it. I think we should have been aware, but we weren't. Now, that doesn't mean it was a conspiracy because we didn't know it was going to happen. It means that we were incompetent. Now, misled means that we deliberately mislead people. I don't think we did. I think that people reacted, and I think the likes of Boris Johnson, who apparently we're going to have a go at soon, did their damnedest with misinformation or misleading information, misunderstandings, to do what we could do to fight this disease. And yeah, hopefully we've reached the stage now where it will become another of a long list of diseases like cancer, like flu, like heart attacks, like the common cold, like biliousness, like all sorts of things that we just have to live with and try to avoid. So yeah, hopefully COVID has reached the end of its reign of terror, and let's hope that's the way it is. But don't.
Yes. Back to scientists before we leave this subject completely, and they've been got at, some of them, especially the venerable Lancet. Now, everybody thinks the BMA are wonderful. Well, we've proved that they're not on another occasion. The Lancet is the journal of all journals, medical journals. But it's turned out about the COVID that 26 of their top contributors, stroke scientists, out of 27 have got deals with Wuhan. And that's why they've kept a low profile and even said, oh, no, you can't call it the Chinese virus. How dare you? Because they've got interests, monetary, usually, with Wuhan and the Chinese. That's despicable. Bless them, the Telegraph has run big on this. They've been investigating this for a long time. Well done, the Telegraph. That is terrible. Who do you believe? You can't believe Facebook, Leigh. You can't even believe the Lancet now.
The deals that have been done by writers with various organisations are legitimate deals. They're not covert deals, not COVID deals. They're not covert deals. They're not deals. But freelance writers, that's basically what I am. If somebody approaches me and says, "Will you write about this?" You know, I'm talking about any kind of product, whether it's a car, a chocolate bar, or a medicine. If I agree with what the company's doing, if I don't think the company's nefarious or there's anything wrong with the company, I'll then look at its products. But I will explain to them that I will write fairly and honestly on that, based on the information that they give me. If you remember, only just before COVID, I was writing for 180 companies. Now, that wasn't a dark score. That was just a big score for me. And I kept my integrity. And if they wanted me to write something that I didn't agree with it, I wouldn't do it. So I'd either get kicked out.
Well, this is you, and quite rightly so. But these characters have either, as I said before, got below the radar, or have actually come and sided with the Chinese. Don't buy it, Leigh. That is not honest.
Well, it's not dishonest for them to have their own belief. That's not dishonesty if you don't
26 out of 27 of them, and they're investors in the whole scheme. No, don't buy that.
Well, yeah. I don't know what I don't know who these people are. I know about the story. I don't, I don't think it's the Daily Telegraph put the story. I think the Daily Telegraph, it's been in the Telegraph, but I think you will find that the Daily Telegraph wrote that 26 out of 27 people who write for the Lancet have done a deal, blah, blah, blah. It was claimed yesterday. That doesn't mean it's fact. That's just what it was said. And a lot of people now take that kind of statement as fact. Now, all I'm saying is that these writers might have legitimately gone to that company, and the fact they've gone under the radar means that they're not writing about it. They're not extolling the virtues of it because they're not being seen to do it. If they go under the radar, they're not doing it. That's fine. Maybe there is a legitimacy to what they're doing. It's a funny thing, similar thing in a way. I was going to publish a book for somebody in installments. Something that newspapers do all the time. I was going to do 10,000 words of the book once a week for 6 weeks, and then I found that this person was charging £50 a time to do an internet book review for authors. Well, pay me then. If you're going to do that, to review a book and expect the author to pay you is despicable. I was a book reviewer for many years, and I was paid by the publication I was doing the review for. That gave me the freedom and the legitimacy to do what I wanted to do honestly. And maybe these people are in that position. The jury's out on it. I'm not saying they are or they aren't, but the jury is out on it. And it is perfectly legitimate to work for a company and then not do the work if you disagree with them. Maybe that's what's happened. I don't know.
Well, listen, next time I want a lawyer to get me off a murder charge, I'm going to come to you. I'm cheap. I know that. That's why I'm coming to you. But seriously, I mean, a question that lawyers often ask you know that guy has committed that murder, and yet you're still acting for him. Now, that's you in your position. Well done, Leigh. I'm coming to you when I commit. I'm going to say Harry Carey. That's the other way around.
Yeah, you can't keep killing. Nice couple, Harry Carey. I used to go drinking with them.
Oh, yes.
And, there is a difference. You see, and this is the integrity of journalism, which I'm sorry, you Facebook people, but you just don't understand.
Well, that's not integrity when you're being bought.
That's what I'm saying. If you go to a lawyer who knows you're guilty and fights for your freedom by the strength of his power of oratory and argument, then in a way, that is where the immorality of law comes from. You come to me as a journalist, and say, look, I've committed this crime, I've done this, I murdered this person, but I want you to write a story on me saying how wonderful I am and I'm not guilty. I would kick you. Well, I'd interview you first. I'd get all the information off you, then kick you out the door, and I'd write the story that you came to me and admitted you committed this. And that's the difference between the law, the internet, and the mainstream media. I'm sorry, if anybody bothers to check it out, you'll find that's the truth.
Well, it doesn't put the lawyers in a good...
No.
Does it?
I'm qualified in law. I am qualified in law. It's not a major qualification, but I am qualified in law. And I was taught the duplicity of law to get that qualification.
My goodness me. There you go, you see. A man wearing two hats, or even more, as I well know.
Better being two-faced.
That's true. Right, come on, I've got another problem for you to solve. And that is allegedly. People, in particular employers, are getting fed up of their staff not going into the office. They're hiding, are what employers are saying. And if you don't come back to work, we're going to dock your wages. Oh, is that fair?
It depends. It depends what your job is. We're moving into a totally different world of work and the way of doing things. You see, the original story was that people were going to have the wages docked from because they were working from home. I began working from home. I can't remember what happened, but there was a big crisis many years ago, and I had to work from home for a couple of weeks. So didn't many other people. I don't know what it was. I just can't remember. But I know as a journalist, the majority of us were working from home and sending stuff in. I really wish I could remember. I'll try and do it. Anyway, so yeah, we work from home. And as dedicated and integrated people, we did our job and we got paid the same. I think we actually got paid a bit more because we were working from home. Now, the working from home thing has to become the future. And yeah, employers are really going to start to suffer if they have massive office blocks in the centres of London and Manchester and other great cities. Because what are they going to do with those office blocks? They're not going to go up in price. They're going to go down in price. So places are going to lose them. When I worked on the Birmingham Post and Mail, the tower block we had in the centre of right in the heart of Birmingham was worth probably billions. Now the Post and Mail have moved out to another building. And that place is there. Now, what can you do with it? Turn it into 1,000 apartments? What can you do with it? It needs so much work. And that's the way city centres are going to go. City centres are going to lose money, which means that employers are going to lose money. Yeah, if you work from home, I believe this is a good thing because what employers can do, and here, yeah, get your guns out and shoot me, that you can actually pick the best of your workers and let them work from home because they will give you value for money. You can increase their wages because you've got rid of the hangers-on, the people who hang around the coffee machines and sit in the smoke rooms and call in sick. You don't need those people. Business is business. And business must have a heart and a generosity towards the people who keep it going. And business does. If you are good to your business, bring it back, give it back. It's a sharing thing. And maybe that's the good side of what's going to happen. I don't think so, though.
Well, he's for a pinko talking a radical right wing. This is a conversion I've been waiting to see. But there you go. We're moving on, Leigh. And I tell you what, we have discovered something quite disgusting. Of the top 35 nations in this world, and we're talking pensions. Of course, the triple lock thing is going to be messed around with, it looks like. That is shameful. Do you know, we are 35th. We are bottom of the league in what we pay out in pensions in Britain.
Yeah.
We are miserable beggars what we pay our pensioners. And there's enough said about pensioners in these COVID times, especially by the younger people, I may say. Oh, they've got it good. Got it good? Well, the figures are as follows. Compared with your last earnings, which is the comparison in the actuarial industry that is carried on in what your pension's like, in Britain, you get a quarter, that's all, of your last earnings as a state pension. That's a real come down. The best of the other countries get 3/4 of their wage. So it's a come down, but it's, you know, you're retired. You've not got the same expenses in certain aspects, but a quarter is phenomenal. It gets worse because if you are drawing a pension, the latest with the pension rise is £179 a week. to survive, and I use that word advisedly, to survive on as a pensioner. My goodness me, if you compare the minimum wage, which is about £9, and a lot of people won't work for that, they're asking 10, 11, 12 pounds an hour. But if you're paid £9, £10 an hour as an employed person over a week of 42 hours on average, it's about 400 quid a week. And a pensioner's getting £179 a week. Wow. Britain, you're miserable, and you're going to be more miserable because you've got to pay for your overspending on COVID. The Conservative Party has now turned into the Tony Blairite Party. Everybody agrees on this, but daren't say anything on the Tory side because Boris has got them whipped to death in the Commons. Boris, you've got to sort yourself out. You're no longer a Tory. A lot of people are saying this that have been lifelong Tories, putting the taxes up that they have done, Leigh. A Tory government, nobody would have thought that a Tory government could put the taxes up like this mythical faux budget that we've just had. It's enormous. There are other ways of doing it. I'm not going to put up national insurance. Boris, you're a fibber. That's the first thing you did. I'm not going to introduce higher taxes. You're a fibber because you've done it. Now, are we going to believe more of Boris nonsense, or is he going to just laugh it off like he has done and get away with it? For the average Tory, dare I even say Middle England, they're not going to wear this, Leigh. And if the opposition wasn't so pathetic, which they are, and allowed him to get away with it, come on, Keir, you're as balmy as the rest of them, letting them get away with this.
Couldn't agree more. Well, let's think. You see, this is the thing that you have to consider in these circumstances. How else would you pay for it? How else do you pay for Brexit? How else do you pay for this crisis where Britain's been on its knees for almost 2 years? How do you actually pay for it? Where does the money come from? How do you pay for the extra, what is it, 6 trillion debt we've accrued? How do you pay for it? Whose debt is it in the first place? Who does the debt belong to? Is it my debt, your debt? Is it Boris's debt personally? Is it the government's debt? Is it the Queen's debt? Who actually owns the debt? I think we own it conglomerately, and as businesses and as human beings. So notice how I made a difference there. And yeah, we've got to pay that off somehow. Now, Boris is a dyed-in-the-wool blue Tory, exactly as Tony Blair was. And so really when people say, and I've seen it everywhere, particularly in the sort of right, the left-wing media has leanings towards the right, like the Guardian and the Mirror, have said, oh, yes, there's this Tony. Yeah, he was just like Boris. Look at this, Boris, you're doing this. No, they're not. No, they're not. And if Boris was leaning towards Tony Blair, then he's kept his Tory credentials impeccably. That's the way it is. Now, Boris has had the job from hell, and not helped by personal and external circumstances and people doing things behind his back that should never have happened. And he still is dominant in the political scene. He is still there. He's still affable. He's still a buffoon. He's still having a joke. And he's still making incredibly difficult decisions. The question boils down to the simple thing: how do you do it? How do you pay for the trillions and trillions and trillions of pounds of debt that COVID and Brexit and mistakes have all contributed to? House prices have gone up. They're plummeting now. Everything that was good and positive has started to take a turn for the worse. Like you say, that steer karma What about him, eh? How calm could you be, Steer? What a mess he would be making of it now. This very, very rich, very middle class, squeaky voiced, little Ponzi-looking jerk who wants to be a leader of the land without a plan or a thought. How would we be doing? How would he be doing it? Was he going to pay? Oh, I don't know. I'll pay for it. Yeah, but I'll pay for it. Yeah. Yeah. How would he do it? How would he do it without actually making us pay? We're the ones who were saved. We're the ones who survived because debatably because of what the government did for us, because how the country was given money when it needed it desperately. Now, I don't know. I might be wrong. I might be very young and very naive. I don't know how I should pay for it. I'm sorry.
Well, I tell you what Steer's going to do, of course. He's going to invite the lovely Diane Abbott to be his money tree princess. And she's going to be the next Chancellor of the Exchequer. And she can do everything. Listen, we've got to go, Leigh. We've got to go. But before we're going to go, we're going to shed light on a certain subject that we've mentioned in the past, and that's light bulbs, of course.
Light bulbs?
Yeah, light bulbs, because we mentioned the con, which it is, of the old incandescent light bulb that we're told we've got to go to the new light bulbs, the new sensational light bulbs, and it's a con. Why is it a con? Well, the first one, it came from Philips, in actual fact. An inventor of Philips decided that he could actually get one of these long neon strips that are in all our stores and condense it into a small bayonet type light bulb to stick in your present holder in your lamp stand or whatever. And that was fine. And it said, oh, it'll last 10 times as long or even longer. And I don't know whether you can hear that, but we've mentioned that before. That's no, I'll mention it now. We've had 6 days of forest fires. Those are the big aeroplanes coming over. And this is the 6th, nearly 7th day. And you covered this. Brilliant. Well done, Leigh. That's one of the 40 aircrafts. We're getting free air shows. We've had a week of free air shows of these clever little and big monsters going into the sea, although they're not supposed to do, and picking up salt water, A, because it ruins the aeroplane, and B, because it ruins the grass if there's anything left of it after the fire. But we've had
fire.
Yes, and the thing is about all this, of course, is that they're trying to gain control. And last night it was closer than ever, but bless them, they're bombing it, but it comes back because it's been months and months and months. But they've forecast rain, and it's just started. Hooray! And tomorrow they've forecast 100% chance of rain. And I can see God coming from behind the cloud, pushing everybody aside and say, that's how you do it. So there you go.
It's been horrendous. It has been horrendous.
Yes,
Go to the Leigh Banks Preservation Society. We've been doing an update every day. 3,000 people have now lost their homes. I don't mean they've lost their homes, that the homes have gone. Well, they've had to be evacuated from their homes. At least one firefighter's lost a life. Now the army's gone in. Yeah, I think you're right, Rodney. Let's pray for rain.
Yes, indeed. Right, to finish off the light bulb scene, sorry for the digression, everybody, but it's important now that you get wised up to things. And the dead easy method is if you're sold a light bulb, and it's one of these that you fit into these little things that stick into ceilings, and it doesn't weigh anything. It's made out of plastic, and it's vital that you don't use these because they wear out in no time, because they generate a lot of heat, the modern light bulb, and it needs metal to dissipate the heat. Now, you're going to be paying more for a metal light bulb, not obviously it's glass at the front, at the back is metal, then you're going to pay for the cheap plastic ones. But then it may last you 3 or 4 years. Some people are claiming, as they have done in the past 10 to 15 years, don't believe them. There is another generation of LED lights, which is where we are now. That's up from the Philips light bulb because that really didn't work out. We have got now genuine LEDs, but you'd be paying through the nose. And if you stuck to the incandescent ones, you'd have been far better off and it'd have been far cheaper. We could buy a light bulb for 20p not so long ago, but now you spend pounds and pounds on them. But it has been hinted to me, there's a very clever scientist saying LED is very sophisticated, but it's nothing compared with what we are about to deliver to the market. There'll be light bulbs that are not hot, that burn practically nothing, and they won't be ripping you off. But until that arrives, buy the right LEDs. Has that thrown a little bit of light on the subject?
It has. I'm sorry I was laughing. I'm just going to take my camera and show you what happened as you was doing that.
She's not there again at the window, is she?
There's a face at the window, yeah.
She keeps doing this. This is another outtake, Leigh.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, she can stay there. I'm paying the rent.
Well, yes. Now that's better. We've got him back. Well, before the lovely Andrea. Yes. We.
Well, she's got the other direction.
Well, it's been so good speaking to you. I'll leave you to the lovely Andrea and wish you well and hope she treats you very kindly. You don't deserve it.
No, I don't. Here, look, it's coming in now. It's coming in. Oh, do we see the Dudley accent?
There she is. She is over your shoulder.
Arrive back in. Could I come in? No.
You've had your hour of freedom, sir. Did you enjoy it?
It's been very interesting. Yeah, I'm really sorry for your problems over there. I hope everything cools down over the weekend. Keep us in touch. Get some film of it, and we'll put it up. The world needs to know what has been happening out in the Costa del Sol, and not many. Every newspaper, every news program, as much people will deny it, have actually covered it, but they've not given it a great deal of coverage. So. We have at the Leigh.
We have. Well, we're on the spot, but I tell you what, I think we'll go back to Portugal. It's a bit safer there.
Bit cooler, yeah. Although, if you remember, we got caught in the forest fire there.
You did.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, we're doing something right.
Yeah, I think so. All right, now I will go and I will love you and leave you till next time we speak.
See you then.
Cheers. Bye bye.